Hi, it's Kate from the Kiwi Kids Bookstore, and I'm joined here today by Kiwi author Karen McMillan, who writes the very popular Elastic Island series. We've got some of her books in front of us. So we'd like to talk to Karen today about why she writes. Tell us a little bit about yourself as an author and how you got writing children's fiction.
Oh, thanks, Kate. Lovely to chat to you. Gosh, I've been writing since an early age. I actually wrote some short stories that were published in the Sunday's News, National Sunday newspaper when I was 10 years old. So
Wow.
I've been doing it for a little while.
Yeah.
But my first book wasn't published until 2003. So that was a non-fiction book, Unbreakable Spirit, like a very serious topic about people facing the challenge of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But I've now written like 19 books, published in 9 countries, a mixture of non-fiction, fiction, and now children's, which is really
Wow.
exciting. And I was just thinking this morning, it's going to be really exciting. Next year, I have my 20th book published, 20 years since my first book published.
Oh, that's what an amazing achievement. That's fantastic. Really fantastic.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. And so where's the inspiration from the Elastic Islands adventure series?
Well, I firmly blame this on my husband's granddaughter, Milla.
Right.
So she'd been saying for years, she's book mad, and she'd been saying for years, when are you going to write a children's book? So she got to age 10, that age again, and I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, if I don't write something, she'll be a teenager before I know it.
Yeah.
So I sat down and started writing the first book, Jewel Lagoon, with her input.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, look, honestly, I actually thought it would just be this fun family project that we did together, just to have fun. And through a series of circumstances that I couldn't have, predicted, I ended up with a multi-book publishing deal with Duckling Publishing. The books have been optioned to be made into movies, and Susie Cato's just done the first audiobook. She's been the narrator.
Yes.
So I never expected my little fun family project would be this huge thing that it's become.
Oh, how amazing. That sounds like it's been a great adventure in its own right to be now creating this series of stories and thinking what's going to happen next and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like Elastic Island Adventures, my children go on an adventure, but I feel like it's been a huge adventure for me as well.
Absolutely. Can you give us a little bit of background of the premise of the series?
Great question. So basically 4 Kiwi kids are down at Browns Bay Beach and they discover this elastic island. So this elastic island sends them pinning across the South Pacific. So every book that they go to a different tropical island and a different adventure. So they've really got to work together to get out of sticky situations, problem solve, get out of danger and trouble to get home safely. So that's the premise of the books, and they're deliberately fun and very engaging, but don't be fooled, because they're actually all about literacy and creativity for children. So I'm really trying to encourage this kind of theatre of the mind. So just to flag up a few little things about the books too, the main story is sandwiched between the Elastic Island ride. So this is run by a character called Mr. Jolly Bowler. He's always got a different assistant parrot with a crazy personality. Right. And the children always have to do some sort of challenge. So they don't just pay money for the passage. They've got to like sing or dance or do a spelling test, it's real fun. And children often say, hey, what's the next, challenge going to be? And the other things flag up in all these crazy adventures, there's always one real life unusual creature. So far we've had platypuses, quokkas, chameleons, wombats, bilbies, and blue-footed boobies. So who knows which unusual creature will be next.
And speaking of blue-footed boobies, it features in your most recent story, Flip Flop Bay.
Yes, so Flip Flop Bay, I see my children there. They're really interested. They want to be involved in this flying school that they've read about. But when they get there, they discover it's one of those situations where you dress in silly costumes and, launch yourself off the end of the wharf. So it's not a flying school at all. But it's run by Bob the blue-footed booby, and he's the mayor of this island, and he's really trying to save the fishing village from closure. But he's a really bad business person, and all his business ideas have been terrible. So the children are thinking about what they could do to help. But in the meantime, there's always the complication in my books. And the complication this time is in the form of the dastardly Captain Crook. Yes. And he turns up and he kidnaps Blong the cat, who's one of the main characters in the book. Yeah. So my children have got a real situated a situation to really, try to solve, don't they, before they get back home again.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it sounds like an amazing adventure. And obviously it all works out in the end and they do get home safely on the Elastic Island, but they've gone through this huge amount of stuff in the meantime.
Yeah, and it's all about, with the characters in the book, it's all about their friendship and their resilience and like learning their skills to get out of these situations. So I
Mm,
think that was a lot of children are really enjoying that aspect of the book, that they can relate to it themselves.
yeah, and I notice that your characters, you have two boys and two girls, and so do you find then that your books are not very gender specific, in that it does interest children of all sexes,
Yeah, I'm finding
be
that.
inclusive?
I think because I've got the two boys, the two girls as main
Mm,
characters, like I get all these emails from children and they invariably relate to at least one of the children. And
mhm,
they'll tell me in their emails, like, oh, I really like Kerry because I like to sing and I'm quite outgoing and I really like her because she's like me. Or I like Emma because I really like books and I'm a bit shy and I really like
right,
her because of those reasons. So
yeah,
children really identify with those main characters.
yeah. I
I should
think
talk
it's
about the boys too. It's not just the girls.
yeah.
Like
No, I
the
know.
boys is Jed, he's the sporty one. He's the one with leadership, and he's really nice. So I
Yes,
like having this really nice character. And there's also Ethan, who's like he's probably the geeky scientific one, and he's a bit annoying. But kids that are quite scientific really love his really cool experiments that he does in the books. He's always got
yeah,
interesting ideas to how to solve things or little inventions that he's done.
yeah. I love how your characters interact together. It makes it so much fun. Do you have any thoughts on writing for this age group, that kind of 9 to 12 middle fiction category?
I just I love it. I'm channeling my 10-year-old self when I write these books, and I've got help from Miller, my husband's granddaughter, but also I've got so much feedback from the audience that I'm writing to because I do a lot of festivals now and school events.
Hmm.
So you get this direct feedback, and children are brutally honest, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is actually great when you're writing books for them. And I think because I've got these characters that they get into sticky situations, but they're not superheroes.
Mm.
They're actually ordinary kids with their own distinct talents. The children really relate to that, and I hope that they'll think, oh well, I read about those, but in real life I could follow my dreams and my passions and
Mhm.
do them, because if the kids in the books can do these amazing things, I can do them in real life as well.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful encouragement. And I know your books, they are set in New Zealand, but they could be kind of any fictional country in a way. But do you feel it's important for New Zealand children to read books by New Zealanders and get that sense
Yes,
of
I
home?
do.
Mm,
Absolutely. And in my books, they're for ordinary Kiwi kids, so the children can relate to that. And it's deliberately set in our part of the world, even though it's fictional.
mm,
It's recognisably the South Pacific. We've got beach scenes, we've got tropical islands, we've got the sea, we've got nature. So I'm not sending my children to an English boarding school.
right.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's very much the natural world that I've created with this, even though it's a little bit fantastical. It's very grounded in reality with, ordinary children, real life creatures. Yes,
Mm.
the creatures can talk, but that's well established in fiction anyway.
Yeah, no, that's great. Um, I'm so, as you know, I'm so passionate about New Zealand children being able to read New Zealand books by New Zealanders. So it's wonderful to see how that all fits with your books as well.
Yes, yes, and I think
Yeah,
it reflects our way of life, our values, our attitudes as well, which I think comes through in the books. And
yeah,
I love the fact that Susie Cato is doing the audio book, so we've got a Kiwi accent for a Kiwi book.
yeah, that's fantastic. Um, yeah, the audiobook, that's proving really popular. It's really growing in this children's age group. They're really liking it.
Yeah, and I think it's great because you could probably get the paperback book as well as the audio book, and just have them both going. you
Yeah,
know so they're very complementary, and you might use the audiobook in different situations. That could be perfect for like the school holidays and road trips.
yeah,
Pop it on in the
absolutely.
car and away you go.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's really good. Thank you, Karen. We've covered a wide array of stuff today talking
We
about
have, haven't we?
middle fiction. But that's amazing. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Lovely, thanks, Kate.
Okay, thanks very much, Karen.